Hello, Ad World. It's my first time here, and I am downright delighted to talk to you about tech SEO, and specifically to talk about a few ways to boost your website health for the holiday season. We'll cover a few main areas, including tech SEO across different teams in the business, some basic info, and then I've picked 3 pillars or 3 areas to optimize with some really juicy actions for you to take today. All right, first up, my name is Ashley Berman Hale. I am a longtime technical SEO and the vice president of the professional services team at DeepCrawl. DeepCrawl is an enterprise level crawler and website intelligence platform. My team includes some of the brightest minds in technical SEO, and we just love to identify and fix issues, get the most out of big data sets, and make the web a better place for all humans. Can't do it in a vacuum though. So good technical SEO works across all of the different teams that support your website. Let's go into more detail about each of those, why tech SEO matters to them, and how to use it as a multiplier. Before I do that, I do recommend everyone who is working on your website or is interested in the performance to get access to Google Search Console. It's free. You're not going to break anything. I'll be referencing it throughout the presentation, and there's a lot of good data there. Second, when you do see this little light bulb in the corner, that means there's an action that you can take directly from the content on that slide. All right, let's get back to business goals. Every group has incentives. All of them will require a healthy website to do really well. We're going to work across these teams based on the certain goals. So first off, developers. Developers are creators. They problem solve, they build things, they have to launch and maintain those. So more than anything, developers usually want to get their creations into the hands of more people. Traditional SEOs work across the board. So their driving strategies on-site, off-site, they just want to rank a site brilliantly. They want to own more SERPs, they want to drive more traffic and have conversions in a sustainable way. Marketers are out there building the brand, delivering on the brand promise, and driving awareness as they make connections. Part of delivering on that brand promise is to having a really great website. If you're paying for media, you want the best reach for your buck. So you want that attention, but you can get a stronger ROI with a clean website that's not only going to drive down the cost of some of those odds, but folks are going to convert better. So you're going to boost that ROI on several fronts. Finally, when you're in leadership, you just want to make sure people's efforts are not only effective, but they're amplified so that you can make money, you can grow the business, which then allow you to innovate. You have to become best in class to stand out. And I believe that not only SEO, but technical SEO will help you get there. So let's jump in. Technical SEO is the foundation of the website. SEO in general and the health of the website can be broken down, but the foundation is going to be most of what you cannot see, but affects the user's experience on the website. So as an analogy, if you're building an art gallery, in this case, the tech SEO would be the concrete foundation, the studs, the drywall, the plumbing, the electricity, maybe it's temperature control or how you move through the space. This is the building integrity that needs to happen and that will affect your experience when you're there. Next up, we have on-site SEO. So this could include the content, images, text, banners, different calls to action. So this is the art in the gallery. These are the placards, the prices, and the lighting. Last but not least, off-site. So this is where you're partnering across the board to just get the word out. So this is when I decide to open the doors to my galleries and get folks to come in. And I don't want to do that if the building's not stable and I don't have good art up. So when you invest in technical SEO, you're getting more mileage and impact for all of those other efforts on site and off. Most of all, if you don't invest, you're creating liability. So you're opening yourself up to more competition. You're going to fall behind. And ultimately, you're just going to have to work a hell of a lot harder and spend more money to get to the same results. Don't want you to do that. So let's get into those 3 pillars, shall we? The first one, before you can get any traffic, before you can even rank for queries, you need to make sure that your site and content is crawlable, that it can be rendered, and that it can be indexed. So the first one, crawling. Bots work using links. That's the entire way they experience the web. So everything has to be well linked. These are essentially also votes for what's most important on your site, and not all votes are created equally. You want something to rank, make sure it's properly linked. Do not assume that everything is being crawled that you launch. So The purest sense of truth would be if you have log files where you can go in and sort how often Google is visiting the traffic or trafficking the pages, which ones and how often. Log files can be tough to access. So I recommend also using GSC. They have some really great free data there. Or for larger and more complex sites, it would be a good idea to invest in an enterprise crawler. Not only do you want to get the full scope, GSC only offers a sampling, but you can then use that data to make some significant impacts. Next up is what Google can see or render. So rendering here just means what they can see after they execute scripts and essentially unroll the element. It's critical because spiders can't actually see, right? We're piecing them together. 15 years ago, I used to say that Google was essentially a blind kindergartner with a drinking problem. That sounds horrible. We have evolved, but not by much. We've gone from blind inebriated child to a nearsighted obstinate teenager. So we're getting there, but there's still space. And you need to know what's getting rendered. So we often see really big brands that spend quite a bit of money refreshing the website where traffic might tank because even though they've improved the functionality, there might be core content that bots aren't able to see or to render, or there might be calls to action or dynamic elements that are now so complex that it's tough for bots to move through that space. The common culprits here, JavaScript always, it's not the enemy, people bad talk it, but JavaScript makes the web interactive, makes it fun. You just don't put your core content there. So we got to make sure the stuff that is really core to the page, the navigation links and core content can be accessed without executing a script. Marketing is also a culprit here. Any types of banners promoting products. You can see here Halloween jewelry. I love spooky season. If it's just text embedded in the image, bots can't read that and know what you're offering. And finally, just complex or interactive features. This could be separate from JavaScript, but ways that you move throughout the site that can trigger entirely new content that require that action. Those are very difficult to detect and solve as far as bots are concerned. So we have to test it. I love testing. Test all of the ways. So if you're not sure if something is rendered, you have a few different ways to do this. So if it's content, grab a sentence, put it in quotes and search it. Google will tell you if it comes up with the page. If you just want to look at a specific page, Google Mobile Friendly Search actually has a great feature. Well, they'll not only tell you where it's mobile friendly, but they'll show you a rendered view. So you can grab that and see if the bot sees the page the same way you want it to. And the third way, my favorite, but takes a couple clicks, is if you are using Chrome developer tools. So go to an important page on your site, right click, hit inspect. Once there, I want you to find the gray gear, jump down and hit disable JavaScript and then reload the page. So in this example, the entire core part or main part of that page does not render at all with JavaScript off. There's no graceful degradation. So it essentially becomes blank. All right, we got the crawling, we got the rendering. Now let's see what we can put in the index. So this is really what we need to do before the traffic starts. And you had to take a lot of steps to get here. But now let's go see what's in there. Google yourself, do a site operator, look for specific pages, just get in there and start seeing what Google is pulling up. You can also, of course, use Search Console where you have an option to look per URL in the site inspector, the URL inspection tool, or you can dig into your coverage metrics for site-wide data. Just be aware that GSC will often sample data quite a bit. This is why I like using an enterprise tools, because I want access to all of the data. All right, let's push toward ranking. Traditional SEOs, they do a lot of great work and they have very robust methodology and tools for tracking ranking and keywords. I'm a tech SEO, so I've kept this pretty simple, but I do know that there's always value to come from you just spending time on your phone and Googling what you think is important to see what Google is returning back from your website. It could be whether it's something with your brand or just the keywords or variations of keywords. So you may call the rooms on your site for rent on a vacation accommodations, and you may rank well for that, but users are going to use the word hotel rooms. You may search that and not find yourself listed anywhere. So be creative. Think about how others describe your site, not how you do. Google Search Console has a really great performance dashboard for that as well. I like to dig and see through trends, but then go a little bit further and start looking at what pages rank for what queries, what pages might have performed really well in the short term and then dropped. How have the queries changed over time? Have you gone from volume in branded to shared volume in non-branded, which would be a very healthy indicator that you're competing more broadly. So there are a few ways that you can emphasize what you want each page ranked for and how you compete. And that is our next step. So architecture and emphasis. This is where you get to show up and tell Google what's important to you. Don't mess it up. I'm going to give you a few tips, but you want to get this one right. So architecture in general is the site structure, where everything sits. Those internal links are not only votes, but they are the single, I believe, single strongest ranking signal when it comes to telling Google what's important to you. They also need to be, all of your pages need to be navigable. It's not enough that bots can crawl through links. I want you to test to see you can get to them. Users are the ones that convert, not Google. So navigate to pages not using search on your phone. Use the internal search on your site and see what pulls up. Oftentimes there are some issues and they're returning pages you might not have expected. And the third action that you can take, which is, I love it. It's so valuable. It's so hard, but find someone who doesn't know the site well, who isn't connected to it, friend, neighbor, person-in-law, barista, sit behind them, keep your mouth shut, tell them what action to complete and just sit and watch. It's really difficult, but I believe watching humans move through your site is far more valuable than just using A to B testing software. Your site structure should be really logical. This also just supports those internal links and the navigation, and website architecture can be really complex and powerful. So I'm not going to wax on too long. Would love to talk to you all about that in the future, but I want to show you more ways that you can tell Google what your most important pages are. So when we're looking at that emphasis of content and keywords, the first factor are titles. In this example, you can see a page that is showing me the product code before the title. Useless to me. I do not want to see a product code as a title in the SERP. Second one, I was looking for an article that I had read previously and loved, popped up easily in results, and it's also giving me a title that's concise, fits within the character limits, and is really compelling. I'm going to click on that. Once you get onto the page, H1s are those header elements that really are almost like titles that users can see. They should also be unique, concise, accurate, and they should complement the title, not be a duplicate. You duplicate, that's a missed opportunity. The Atlantic did a really good job with this one. So that I'm going to read the title on H1. So the title is Autistic Brains Have Distinct Advantages. The title, Autism's Hidden Gifts. These work together really well, are really compelling, naturally written. I could use them in a sentence and it wouldn't sound like a bot writing anything. And they accurately frame the page. Images are often not used as strongly for emphasis on keywords that are important. So go through your site. If you're listing a lot of products like this site was, where everything is shop now, click here, more info. Great, have those links. Do not leave it at those links. Link through keywords as well. Another example is this picture of a product on a page that had an alt tag. Fantastic, but it was left empty. So in this example, I could use an alt tag, both for people who are visually impaired, but also for bots, that could say, silence is violence, long sleeved unisex white t-shirt. Perfect, that tells me exactly what it is. And it's going to help reinforce that ranking. Whew. All right, I hope you're sticking with me so far. I know I'm talking a little fast, I'm very excited. So let me give you 3 quick tips. Didn't even promise these ones, they're just bonus. The first one, use event pages, launch them now. This is an example for Black Friday. Don't include the URL because you want to keep using these, but Target had put this up. The deal is not active. They tell you when it is. They cover FAQs, but then they also have 3 calls to action that help the users and themselves. If you are an e-com site, go to Google Merchant Center and make sure you're feeding them your product feed. No purchase necessary. You put your products in there, let them know that you'd like to be listed in Google Shopping. You're eligible for free placement alongside the paid ads. And the third one is Google Discover, the large image preview. You see that little meta tag in green, go add it to the top of all your pages. Google Discover can fill up to 50% of your traffic for publishing sites. It is big. Google just released a case study around how much it increases clicks to put this one tag on. So freebie there. All right, we're ready to move on to the last pillar. Page experience. This can mean a lot of different things, but in this case, I'm going to be referring to page experience as this algorithm signal that Google has been talking about the last year or two that you've probably heard about. So the first factor in this is security. It's non-negotiable. Your site needs to be accessed via HTTPS only. If you have issues, there are lots of free resources out there that can help you get it set up free or low of cost. The second part of page experience are intrusive interstitials. There's always going to be a battle between the calls to action on the page that you need and the experience. So Google doesn't want you to interrupt that main core content. You have to be less intrusive, a nice, polite banner. Now, the cookie alerts can pop up, and when you have age verification, like for alcohol, but let me show you an example of something that's neither of those, but they're doing it wrong. Here's Forbes. Clicked on their homepage from the SERPs. At first, looked fine. Within less than 2 seconds, I get this full page ad. Nothing has changed for me. I haven't navigated anywhere. That's animated. I can't close it out. I have to scroll through it. Figure that out. Want to scroll past it, but before I can, I get another notification, another push notification asking me if I want to sign up for Forbes to ping me when there's updates. Hard no. You also see I'm testing all of this on mobile. Google's really pushing mobile, and it's not a mobile first only world. I believe we're moving to mobile only at some point. So when I do say do these tests for searches or how your site functions, make sure you're using your phone. All right, the third part of that page experience before we get to the second half is just making sure that it's mobile friendly. The mobile friendly tool linked right there, you can go to check and see if it's friendly as well as the rendering. In this case, it's not, it runs off the page. Okay, the next half, the next 3 elements go together. So they're all part of what we call core web vitals. I'm sure most everyone has heard of it, and it's just how fast the pages work. And Google has been a real shit about this. Like they're ranking people, they're being really tough. So you can see CNN here gets a score of 13 out of 100. See the GSC dashboard, that's not for them, confidential. Full right here gets a 91 out of 100. So good scores are possible, but they're harder than hell. You will have to invest in page experience, invest in making a faster site. Those 3 that make it up, the core of vitals, they're just how fast the page is. There are 3 simple metrics that go into that if you want to take them apart. So the first one is just loading the main content. How long does it take me to see what I came there for? The second one is how long it takes me to interact with the page. So whether that's using search or pushing a button, some folks load it quickly, but you can't do anything. That can be really frustrating. And the last one is stability, or what I call the jankiness factor. So that's when you're on a page, it loads, you start reading, and maybe the text bumps up, or you try to click a button and it bumps because something else loaded. So that's a no-go as well. That can really be frustrating, and it can cause folks to click on the wrong things. Okay. So quick review, page experience, 6 factors. Half of them are for performance. Those are called core vitals. The other half are around security, intrusive ads, and mobile friendliness. And that brings us to my take action slide. So I realize my time with you is almost done, but there are lots of different things that you can do today, either by hand on your phone or browsing around your website. Again, please use your site. Or by tool. So I will let you look at this for a second and call out a few of my favorites. So as far as by hand, one of the most impactful exercises I think you can do is to go for a walk, turn off Wi-Fi. So you're on a slow cellular data plan, and just use your site as a user would. How long does it take you to navigate, to search, to pick a product and buy it, or to convert in some way? On the tool itself, page speed insights to see how quick it is, make sure it's mobile friendly, and posted on the Google Merchant Center. So those are 3 quick tips. Get familiar with the data set in GSC or the enterprise crawler, because your site has skeletons. You'll want to uncover it. Anything that's out there can affect your ranking, good or bad. All right, that's it. Thank you so much. I'm going to leave you with a few words. So things aren't easy right now. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Be you, especially on your website, and especially for marketers. That authenticity really resonates with users. Ask questions, especially where you find a set of accepted norms. That happens a lot in search, but you should question everything. And reach out. I would love to hear from you. I like to answer questions. Would love to talk to you more about Deep Crawl or my team if you are interested. So once again, thank you so much for spending some time with me. I appreciate it, and take care of yourself out there. Thank you.